talking about these, they're actually wooden volumes from a company called Motavation Volumes. A guy called Jared chucked it through and wanted some feedback on them. Yeah, they're actually, you know, we got 3 of them. Got 2 smalls, 1 large. We'll go through very quickly. You know, making volumes are well, wooden volumes anyway, are a pain in the ass. Most gyms do it, but it takes time, effort, and if you don't know what you're doing, then it's going to be a bit half-assed. If you look at the aesthetics of this thing, it's actually very, very pretty. You know, where the 3/4 inch plywood actually goes through and looks quite nice. The T-nuts, they're screwed in T-nuts, they're not going to spin on you, you're fine. There's a brace, it's all very good. You can tell it's been through a drill press, and the drill hole, sorry, the bolt hole is actually going to be very, very square. Now, I'll go into the negatives of this hold very, very quickly. Actually, this one isn't so bad, but where they've put the screws in, they're actually a little bit haphazard. It'd be nice if they were like, you know, this screw here, these 2 screws are actually holding the 2 pieces together, but you know, they should be at least, put them in a line. Don't, you know, spaz holds around doing it. Maybe use some glue these pieces together. Other than that, on this hold, there's not too much to complain about. The sanding is actually a little bit off. There's a slight kink in this where they've miscut it, but nothing too drastic. You know, they're very new. Like, man, your holds are sick. You know, I love the volumes, but someone at some point, and that's us, has to point out the negatives to these things, and it's an aesthetic thing, basically. You know, the screws are all over the place, and it needs to be cleaned up a little bit. The guy's new, but I don't have to make a wooden volume this big, which is kick-ass. Now, we'll move on to the bigger one. Ugh, the old beastie. Again, the sanding is a little bit off in places, but as it's wood, it will kind of bend to the wall. You know, it's not the best, not the worst, and you know, if you're sanding big shapes, it's going to be tricky for you. Now, again, T-nuts are screw-ins, always really, really lovely. I should give them a call because I need some T-nuts to screw in. And the bolt placements are interesting. Bear in mind you have an awful large volume. This T-nut can move to about here. If you look on the inside, it can move up about an inch, inch and a half to give you a bit of space. At the moment, at most, you can get 1 hold on every single side of this volume. Nothing more. Well, you could go less, but nothing more, nothing less. You could go more, you could go less, but you know, this could move up, and you could maybe get 3 small crimps on here, some other stuff, give you a little bit of variety. Some of the screw holes, if I can get my thumbnail underneath it and start making noises with it, it's not screwed in hard enough. They need to pre-drill their screws. You can tell that some of the screws haven't gone in flat. Of course, it's going to be pretty hard to put these in flat, but they need to be pre-drilled and put the screws in a little bit flatter on these. All the holds come with a washer for your bolt, and once you get onto something this big, a suggestion would be to put a screw hole in, a pre-drilled screw hole somewhere, much like, strange enough, excuse me, much like this, to stop them from spinning. Because as soon as you start getting some really quite crazy forces and people jumping around, these things will spin. A screw will actually stop that. You can't really put a center column in, but we're not worried about that. Overall, considering it's a very, very new company and they're making wooden volumes, and this is the medium size, they've got some big ass buggers with dual sliding bolts and some other stuff that are just completely nutty. Overall, if you're a gym and you want some wooden volumes of different sizes and you can't be bothered to make them, or you don't have the tools or the space or the knowledge, this is actually a very good option for you. Hopefully they'll be adding grip paint to them fairly soon. I know that Jared does actually different angles and different, you know, walls. He send him some photographs of some angles and he can probably make up something for you. I'm going to be very interested to see how these climb without holds on them, how these climb with holds on them. I'm not worried about the T-nuts because they've got screws in them. You know, just clean up the screws and maybe chuck some varnish on these buggers. A little bit of clear varnish, a little bit of different, you know, add some colours, add some stain, and then I think you're actually onto a complete winner. I'm going to have to go and add a screw hole into this one because I know that this, from large volumes, might drop a little bit, so I'm going to chuck a screw hole in the top with a long screw so I don't actually get this thing to drop. But overall, Motavation volumes, I think they're off to a very, very good start. Bear in mind they're less than a month old, and you know, Jared's just started and he wanted some feedback. You know, the holds are sick, don't get me wrong, and trust me, after the box of Doom, I'm quite happy that someone's actually making, you know, making some stuff. Jared should make some flat out boxes as well. Don't just make triangles and, you know, pyramid shapes. Overall, I'm very, very impressed. Needs a little bit of clean up, needs a little bit of TLC, but other than that, I think we're good.